Tom Little's here. What you saying, mate?
Your transfer window was really confusing me. Like, I get the basis of what you're trying to do, but at the same time, like the Ram move that's come out in the past day, I don't think you need a left back as much as you need a right back. So I don't know why. I think you've got bigger priority areas to focus on. Like Anthony would be a fantastic addition to your attack, and you need a right winger. Obviously, the idea was bringing Sancho in last year. He'll play his part on the right, Rashford on the left, and then that didn't work out. Sancho ended up playing the majority on the left and found his spot there. So we can assume Sancho will stay out there this season. So that's where Anthony comes in. Martinez makes sense. You need a centre back. Is he the right type? I don't know. I really don't. I haven't watched him enough to say. But Eric Ten Hag obviously likes these Ajax or former Ajax players. It's a big sign of the style of football he wants to play. De Jong, you've been working on that for ages, so that's a guaranteed. But the Ram move just confused me a bit. You've got Luke Shaw and Tellers who they're not great. They're not exactly fantastic. They do need to be replaced, but they're better than Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Diogo Dalot, and a lot better than Wan-Bissaka and Diogo Dalot.
Yeah, like the David Rum deal. I'm a bit like you. I'm sort of like, I don't get it. Is in there are other areas, but equally this could just be a situation of, well, it's something we're looking at depending on what else happens elsewhere. You know, I think one of the things, like a bit like with Anthony, we weren't focusing on a player in his position when we were going after Darwin. We didn't get it. It's like, well, we don't have another number 9 that's a priority, like a top signing for us. So we'll move on to a different area. Maybe the right back Man United want isn't available this summer. So like, well, we can get the left back that's one of our top priorities now ahead of time and go for the right back next. I don't know. Maybe that's the approach. That's the only thing that makes logical sense. But in terms of most of the players we're looking at, the De Jongs, the Ericssons, the Antonys, these players for me are, they all make sense if you get where I'm coming from. And I think if we sign those 3 and a couple of defenders, I'm quite excited about the new season. Do I think we're fixed? Do I think every hole has been addressed? No. Did I expect us to fill all those holes in one summer? No. A lot of Man United fans set that out early on. We've got to fix all our problems in one summer. No, you're just saying that so you can spend the whole season moaning because without, again, these people only grow sitting shit. Do you know what I mean? They can only sit in negativity. But yeah, I hope this Anthony deal happens because he's exciting. There's a lot of skill about him, and I actually think United do need. The more I think about it and reflect, I think we actually need this injection of people that know Ten Hag, because our club is when Klopp came in. Klopp came in after Brendan Rodgers had a pretty good time. Does that make sense? You guys weren't on your arse. He was struggling, but the team had been in a good space for a few years. But when Brendan Rodgers came in. And by the way, I hope Ten Hag ends up being more successful than Rodgers. But Brendan Rodgers brought in players that he'd had before, i.e., did he bring Joe Allen in?
Joe Allen, yeah.
Example, he brought in a few people that knew him and knew his style and system. Why? Because he came after the Hodgson and the end
the Dalglish.
The Dalglish and the Hodgson era, which only just came after the Hicks and Gillette stuff. It was almost the feeling around Liverpool was very, very different, if that makes sense. Because obviously Dalglish came in after Hodgson and steadied the ship, but that started to crumble quite quickly as well, if that made sense. But you guys still had a team that didn't you win a trophy under Dalglish?
The
Carabao Cup. So you still were a team that was capable of winning trophies, and you were in and around top 4 positions, really. Like you were there or thereabouts. You weren't a million miles away from that kind of level. Man United are in such doldrums right now. I think what he needs are 2 or 3 players who know respect and will day one in training are going to be busting the gut running, because that sets the precedent for everybody else. And I just think he needs that, especially as there's so many holes in this squad that not so many holes, especially because there's a number of holes in this squad that won't all be addressed in one summer, But can he get a good season out of Luke Shaw? Can he get a good season out of Fred? Can he get a good season out of Marcus Rashford? Probably. Would he get those? Would he get all those players to be brilliant 4, 5, 6 years on the bounce? No. Same. Jurgen Klopp and Pep are 2 of the best managers in the world. They couldn't do that with the players they inherited. That's why they're not there anymore. They had to move them on. In the short term, you guys were better under Klopp than you were under Brendan Rodgers. You got to finals. You played better football with those same individuals because the system and the training helped. over time, you need to level that out with better quality signings.
Exactly.
So I'm kind of relaxed. The only one I agree with, though, the David Huam deal, it's a little bit like, could
Yeah,
probably get away with not buying a left back, but yeah.
the Ram deal, like from looking at what you've been linked with so far, it looks like a positive thing for United because these look like Eric Ten Hag signings. They're not too. We had it with Rodgers, and I think there's a big worry that Chelsea could have it under Todd Bowley or whatever his name is, where
Yeah.
the owner and the manager don't agree, so they clash. You need to agree on your transfer targets. What it looks like there, there was hardly any, if any, links before Ten Hag. Martinez, hardly any. There was Anthony links, but he was linked with half of everyone around Europe. So I'm not surprised that they've only strengthened now Ten Hag's come in. Ram, just write him off. If you're going for your manager's targets, that is a big sign of improvement because it actually shows you're putting faith in the manager. The first window under Ten Hag, you have to trust him. If you want to, in a couple of years' time, I don't think you ever should, but if the club want to sign a player that isn't necessarily high on Ten Hag's list, as long as he's got a squad that he has built, do it. Because what you've got at United now is you've got a squad made up of 5 different managers, basically, who've
Yes.
all tried to implement their own styles, their own tactics, but they never got the chance to fully because they were never bought the players that they wanted. And you can see with everyone, the most memorable one was Mourinho. I had a list of 5 centre backs, and I got none of them. Like this is if this is the changing point. If last season was a wake up call for United, and they realise when we get a world class manager, we might want to trust his transfer
Well,
targets. Let's go
it's
for
that,
it.
and as Richard Arnold said the other day, and I'm putting a lot of pressure on him to deliver. The bankers, the money men, the board members are no longer involved in the negotiation processes, picking the players, overriding. It's on the football people. Now, of course, they've got to get sign off from the club to spend the money, but they're not picking the players. You've got to remember Woodward said no to De Ligt, cheap and young, because we got Phil Jones. Why didn't he De Ligt? Like the man didn't know ball. There's some news here that Judy Sports has put in saying that Jamie Jackson from The Guardian confirmed on Sky Sports News that Ten Hag could have up to 200 million to spend this summer. I haven't seen the clip. The clip will probably say depending on sales, and it's exactly what a certain man called Tappin Terry has been saying this whole time. Anyone who believed there was only going to be 120 million pounds to spend this summer, deluding themselves, just deluding themselves. It was again.
United always go big under a new manager. Solskjaer got 150 million. Mourinho got, how much did he get? Like 150. Right before the Neymar sale.
There's more money now because the new US TV deal's coming in, which is about 20 or 30 million pounds more for clubs. They'll do it, but they may do it. It depends on who leaves as well. Tom, thanks for coming on, mate.